see none. Next item we have for consideration is the consent agenda. Are there any items that a trustee would like removed from the consent agenda to be considered separately? Trustee Beck.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to remove ordinance 02-14 for future consideration.
Thank you, Trustee Beck. That's item A under the consent agenda. We'll continue with the consent agenda, item B, C, D, and E. I will entertain a motion to approve all items under the consent agenda.
So made.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Could I have staff report, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. Item B is ordinance 3-14, amending chapters 7 and 8 of the municipal code that relate to the personnel policy. Item C is resolution 1R14 that authorizes execution of a final plat, replatting lots 1, 2, and 3 of block 1 of Terrace View Acres. Item D is resolution 3R14, adopting the personnel policy manual that is the first edition of the manual, as it will be provided for under the amended Chapter 21. Item E is Resolution 6R14, authorizing a contract with V2 Marketing for the village website redesign and web hosting.
It goes.
It's just next.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Is there any discussion from the trustees? I see none. We'll take roll call.
Trustee Tammen.
Aye.
Kidd.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Yo.
Aye.
Beck.
Aye.
Snodgrass.
Aye.
Mayor Boland.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays.
Under the consent agenda, item B, C, D, and E has been approved. Next, we have unfinished business, which would be item A that was removed from the consent agenda. Ordinance 02-14, amend Chapter 21, Personnel Policy, first reading. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So made.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Could I have staff report, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. This ordinance revises portions of Chapter 21, creating the employment rules, regulations, and outlining benefits in a manual form, and makes minor revisions to the job descriptions also included in this chapter. Historically, Chapter 21 has been a mix of rules of conduct for employees, identifying the level of benefits, how those benefits are administered, and then also creating positions and the related job descriptions for each one of the employment positions we have here at the village. Upon my recommendation, I launched an effort by the staff to create a standalone manual that could be revised from time to time by this board that would include all of the rules and regulations regarding employees, and then to have the job description standing alone in Chapter 21. So that is the summary of ordinance, what Ordinance 2-14 does. This is the first reading, and that is it. I'll entertain questions.
Is there any discussion from the trustees? Trustee Beck.
Well, I read through this several times, and I have a problem with some of the language of who reports to who and who hires who. I think it would behoove this board to act upon any employee that's hired by this village, and it should not be a act alone by any supervisor within the village. And that's my feelings on it. And there are 7 or 8 positions in there that would be hired by a supervisor rather than by the village board.
The revisions that were made to the job descriptions were more or less cleanup items. The chain of command and also the hiring authority is a carryover from the old ordinance that was in place it is in place now and has been in place for some time. So that really has not been amended at all to, if we were going to address the authority for hiring under each individual position, that would be a new item to take up. As it stands now, the administrator and various department heads have authority to hire the positions that are non-managerial, such as the Public Works labor, secretarial staff. The positions that are hired by the administrator with the advice and consent of the board include the HR personnel, or the HR and accounting manager, the community development coordinator, Public Works superintendent, and public safety coordinator. And then as well, my position, of course, is appointed by the president with the recommendation of the board. So that is how it kind of breaks down now, and how the hiring takes place for the individual positions.
Trustee Tamman.
Just to clarify, the positions that are approved by the board rather than by individual supervisors or the administrator, the position's already there and have to be approved by the board if there were going to be any changes?
That's correct.
Okay.
Attorney Green.
Well, I might point out that there aren't any, I don't think there are any positions that are appointed by any one individual. I mean, if a coordinator is appointing a subordinate, that is done with the advice and consent of the village administrator. So there's always a check and balance. It's just at the lower, or the levels down to the public safety or the public service workers or secretaries, that doesn't rise up to the Board of Trustees. It stays with the supervisor with the advice and consent of the village administrator, I believe, in most cases, correct? So there is a check and balance there.
Correct, but if I understood you correctly in the beginning, there are 3 positions that the administrator hires, because the 3 secretarial staff are answering directly to the administrator that are not under a department head.
Okay.
However, we just had a case of the receptionist being hired 3 months ago. We took a team approach to that. There were interviews done by myself, the clerk, the HR manager, and village president, and so we arrived at a general consensus, and then the hiring was done.
Trustee Yo.
Thank you, Your Honor. I guess I think that it's very appropriate that it's the way it is right now, simply because the people who are doing the interviewing should be the ones that make the decision. If I'm going to be asked to make a decision on hiring someone, I would want to have been part of that interview, and I'm not sure that necessarily trying to get all the trustees into a meeting to interview all these candidates would be a viable thing to do. I think that there's a logical chain of command here. There's a logical way of doing things, who reports to. So I'm going to support this resolution the way it's, or this ordinance the way it's presented right now. Thank you.
Is there any more discussion on this? I see none. We'll take roll call.
Trustee Kidd?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Yo?
Aye.
Beck?
Nay.
Snodgrass?
Aye.
Tamman?
Aye.
Mayor Boland?
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 nay.
Ordinance 02-14, amend Chapter 21 Personnel Policy for the first reading has been approved. There's no new business. Next, we have public comment. If you have a comment, step to the podium, state your name and address, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes. I see none. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Second.
I have a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? We are adjourned.